It's
Fantastic. All right, here we go. So first of all, welcome to our Global Chamber friends. I am so excited you're here. My name is Meg Seitz, and I own a communications and creative agency named Toth Shop. I am based in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I've been a very active and happy member of the Global Chamber for about 2 or 3 years now. And one of the special things I get to do for the Global Chamber, thanks to Doug and team, is help lead a monthly conversation on topics related to brand and marketing and communications. What I think are kind of the glue that keep people together and keep us in our brands and connecting with each other are the stories we tell and the messaging and the marketing and the human signals too, Natalie. So I'm excited to welcome Natalie Chambers to this month's conversation. Just to introduce Natalie a little bit, she leads creative and strategy at the Dealey Group. Am I saying that right, Natalie?
Yes, the Dealey Group.
The Dealey Group. They are an advertising agency and content studio, and they specialize in retail real estate. And they have over 80 shopping centers across the US and Canada. But Natalie on her own is a star. She has 20 years of experience working with brands like Clorox, Denny's, Chobani, Sunglass Hut. So she knows brands, she knows the good points, the challenges. And as Doug said, she is joining us from Scandinavia. So thank you, Natalie, for staying up late on a Friday to talk about human signaling. What we're going to do, those of you who have been part of these webinars the last couple of months, is I'm going to turn it over to Natalie. She can introduce herself if I've missed anything, and then she's going to lead us through a conversation about human signaling and behavior and trends and the insights that their group has about this study. And then we'll open it up to some questions. I always have questions, but you, Global Chamber friends, will also have the opportunity to ask Natalie some questions too. And then we'll wrap up so that everybody can get back to their Fridays wherever you are. So with that said, Natalie, I'm happy to turn the mic over to you, my friend.
Thank you, Meg. And thank you, Doug, for having me. This is a wonderful experience. And I love getting to present this information to people all over the world because the couple other times I have had a global audience, the insights are so varied and unique according to country that I really feel that we all learn a lot from one another. So while I'm probably presenting with, even though I live in south of Sweden, a mainly United States perspective, US perspective, I would love for you guys to chime in the end and share your own personal experiences in your own countries, because I'm sure that they are different and varied. And now, and I'm going to share my screen, and Zoom is not my native digital habitat, so hang with me while I try to get this done properly and not mess anything up too bad. I just stopped sharing. Okay, see, I told you I would butcher it just a little bit, just enough to make it exciting, and you wonder if I'm really going to make it.
You're good. We can see it.
You can see it. Awesome. Okay, so as Meg said today, we are going to cover a couple of the retail trends and consumer insights that the Dealey Group has compiled for the second half of 2025. And we really are leaning heavily into this idea of AI and trust and how consumers are reacting to AI and a lot of trends that we're seeing around their behavior in regards to AI becoming more and more prevalent, particularly in the shopping realm, in the retail realm. And in our business, we're really concerned with making points on a map, places that people belong. So we're taking those shopping centers and making them places where people feel like they can come together and meet and have a place of belonging, as well as do their shopping, have this third space to socialize. So we feel that it's really important to understand our consumers. It's critical for all businesses so that we understand their behaviors, why they're doing what they're doing, and we can talk to them on their level. As Meg said already, we have 80 accounts that we manage, and we actually create over 3,000 pieces of custom content per month. This community management and creation of content affords us a huge social listening database, and that's where we find most of our trends and insights. Weekly, we meet together and we do kind of a scan of the horizon and pull together these trends. And then bi-yearly, we create a bigger trend report based on what we're hearing and seeing from all of our consumers out there. So, as I promised, we're going to start with AI and trust, which I feel like is the topic that everyone is talking about. This is no surprise that we would use this as kind of the umbrella trend that kicks everything off. I'm just going to throw out a couple stats because I think these are particularly compelling and really illustrate the internal battle that everyone is fighting when it comes to AI. 45% of respondents in this particular study said they feel comfortable letting AI make purchases for them. I think this was on Chain Store Age. And I found this really interesting. Almost half of people are willing to use AI as a tool to make a purchase. Now, in my mind, I go straight to what kind of purpose? Is AI buying your toilet paper? I'm totally down with that. Or is AI like planning your next vacation? I would feel a little bit more hesitant. But there is some sort of comfort level with letting AI be that behind the scenes tool that is helping to make purchases. However, in a Pew study, 50% of people say they're more concerned than excited about the increased use of AI in daily life. And this is huge because it's up from 37% in 2021. So there is this sense of where is this going? What is happening? I'm unsure. I'll let AI do some things, but I'm really not sure where I'm going to like draw the line of comfort level. Another interesting one I just want to throw out there is people think that AI has made the internet worse, like all of the content on the internet worse. And that is particularly, I think it was like 47% of people said that, or I'll find the correct stat and send it out to you guys. But I think that that is telling when it comes to this next trend of people feeling like they're on information overload. And a lot of our consumers are citing AI slop that's being created and flooding the internet as part of this information overload that they're experiencing. And I think that people are becoming more aware that if they are truly overwhelmed with all of the content and messages and news reports and all of the things coming in at them, that it is affecting them physically on a physical level because the stress is increasing cortisol and it's causing chronic inflammation. They've actually linked social media usage and chronic inflammation. So people are really looking for something to do. And we have those people who are over here practicing information fasting. They're using dumb phones that only make calls and texts. Or I don't know if you guys have seen that cool new product where you can brick your iPhone and you can basically turn it into a dumb phone using this device. But overall, people are choosing to be more conscientious about the information that they are putting into their body. Less junk information, more information of substance. A great example of this is the rise of platforms like Substack. It's becoming increasingly popular. And then also this interesting stat that on YouTube, videos over 30 minutes now drive 73% of total watch time. That's a long video. Consider the fact that we were like pushing 15-second videos and 30-second videos only a year ago in terms of content. And now the 30-minute video is driving most of total watch time on YouTube. So people really are being conscientious and consuming things that feel more meaty, more hearty overall. So that is something that we're really seeing across the board. So, what good is an insight unless we kind of get together and hold hands and decide what some good actions might be to take regarding this feeling of information overload. And at the Dealy Group, we have been really recommending to our clients is that they have more deep in real life experiences, maybe workshops or talks or forums, things that feel meaningful to people. We've also really been encouraging our social media clients to rethink messaging cadence. This is a huge one. So posting less often with chunkier insights, chunkier captions, meatier content. And then also just reducing clutter and prioritizing high value communications that feel curated. This in particular to emails, like really making sure that whatever lands in people's inbox is going to be something they want to open, has lots of information, feels curated. So there's lots of things that we can do to help our customers reduce their own information overload feelings. Okay, so also in response to this kind of influx of AI and people desiring to either explore an AI or push back on AI or push back on it, people are wanting to relearn the forgotten senses. And this is the idea that because people are spending less time in this information overload cycle, they're actually getting out there and wanting to do things like experience new tastes or smells or touches, things that we haven't really been immersing ourselves in the last couple of years. So here's some really fun little social clips that we've thrown out here. For example, I think this one is so fun over on the left-hand side. Madrid lost power for 10 hours and you accidentally time traveled to the 90s. So you don't have power for 10 hours. What do? You go outside, you feel the sun on your face, you actually touch grass for real. Like, you just don't say it on social media. This is what people chose to do with their time. They wanted to remember what it was like to be outside and just kind of enjoy. And then also we're seeing this rise in scrapbooking actually among our followers. So they want something that they can touch and do with their hands, that they can create something and have it be in real life in their hand instead of on digital. So I think this is really interesting. Another stat in regard to this forgotten senses is that people are really favoring printed media lately. They're saying that magazines and catalogs that brands put out feel more authentic than digital campaigns. So that's an interesting insight as well. And then this is perhaps my favorite, maybe because I was raised in a Barnes & Noble in the 90s, but Barnes & Noble is opening 57 new stores in 2024. And this is more than they did in a 10-year span between 2009 and 2019. And they're on track to open another 60. And I think this is incredible that people have gone back to wanting to hold a book in their hand and smell the bookstore and like touch the pages and be there in real life. It's something that people are craving and wanting to do. So what can we do as business folks? We are considering print a lot more often now, whether it be catalogs or direct mail or magazines. Obviously, we don't just want to go spend a ton of money on direct mail that is not really adding any value. But when the occasion is right, maybe a catalog or magazine would be the way to go. Also, putting money into enriching physical environments, enhancing waiting rooms, investing in displays. It seems like people are wanting to get back into the brick and mortar establishments. And then also giving consumers sensory experiences related to your brand. So whether that's a swatch bar or taste testing or DIY stations, whatever it may be, giving them a chance to use their hand, use their sense of smell. We jokingly, but not so jokingly, recommended to us some of our properties that they should develop a signature scent, kind of like hotels do with a candle. So yeah, it's just fun to start thinking about ways brands can come to life in these in real life ways. Okay. Next one is romanticizing pre-modernization. And I really do feel like this is a hard pushback on the AI prevalence that we're experiencing. We see a lot of this, particularly in social media, but also in the product lines that our clients are carrying. It is this return to this idea of ancient ways of doing things. So this ancient wellness where people are doing cold plunges and embracing saunas, and people are doing things in accordance to the season. So they might be doing like hibernation winter and renewal spring, moon cycles and Chinese medicine. Like people really are digging deep to find out what we did before all of the computers took over. I'm using that really like heavy-handed, but you get the idea, that people are really romanticizing this pre-modernization life. And here are a couple examples I pulled from the internet, but also a late entry over here on the right. So we have lady on the left saying hibernating during the winter versus putting pressure on ourselves to do activities. So really going with our cycles and respecting the seasons. And then we have this one influencer who is really deep into herbal medicine and how to use it in your daily life and cooking. And then over here on the right, I pulled this one this morning and did some fact checking to make sure it was true. But even scientists are getting in on the game. They went and found like this old recipe for antibacterial salve from the 9th century that involved onion and garlic and this specific wine and some sort of like bile from a bull. But anyways, regardless, they dug it up and did some lab tests, and it actually like works against strep and several other resistant bacterias. So I get the feeling that humans, I don't think that they're like, oh, there's a computer, I'm going to look at my ancestry. I feel like it's more that they're looking back and saying, what do we not want to lose? What do we want to pull forward with us into this new uncertain era? And we're seeing a lot of this happen in the social realm as people share their experiences. And then I don't know about other countries, but I think this is absolutely hilarious and kind of cool. But Costco in the States, excuse me, is carrying saunas and cold plunge pools and Aura rings. So I think that just shows you how prevalent it has become in American society, particularly. So what can we do about this? I think that we can create experiences in our business that align with analog wellness and seasonal rhythms. Maybe we create gift guides that go along with the seasons. Maybe we put out content that involves our specialty, but also kind of plays into this ancient wellness theme. We might consider our interiors and the way that we build them out, whether it be with soundscapes or natural lighting design for circadian rhythms. Just kind of, if people are wanting that more natural experience, giving that to them in interiors. And then I think this is probably the most important, is within our business structure, is to reassure customers that even though we're advancing with maybe an AI tool or in some way, shape, or form, that they are not going to lose the essence of your offering. It's like this reassurance that yes, we're moving forward, but what we truly offer is going to stay the same. Okay, This is by far my favorite trend, and I could talk about it for a long, long time. But it's the idea of human signaling. And this is a term that we use to indicate that humans are doing kind of quirky, weird little things to give proof of life that there is a human being behind that thought or that choice or that decision. And I really do feel like this is a pushback to all of the AI advances that are happening. And this will only become more and more prevalent and perhaps even more and more wacky or more subtle. I'm not sure which way it will go, but I think that human beings are going to consistently continue to say, hey, look, a human thought of this. Hey, look, a computer did not make this. So some of my favorite examples are this social trend about good use of free will. And it's everyone documenting humans who are making maybe absurdly wacky choices, like setting up a projector in the park and just chilling by yourself. But saying like, hey, that guy thought to do that on his own and he took the initiative to do that. And he's the free will final boss, which I love. So this was a huge trend recently. And then another cool trend is the AM dash. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this. If you're a designer, you might be. But these designers and artists got together, and we all know that AI has a favorite piece of punctuation, the M dash, and it's kind of like the telltale sign that AI may have written this piece of content. Actually, one of our copywriters is really upset by this at the Dealey Group because it was her favorite punctuation, because copywriters have favorite punctuation, and she was really upset that the M dash had been co-opted by AI. But anyway, long story short, these designers created the AM dash, and it is this special piece of punctuation. It's essentially an M dash with two little tails going up and down. And this is a font that you can download, and it cannot be used within an AI setting. I don't know how they program that. But it proves that a human being wrote this piece of copy that you're reading. So I thought this was a really inventive way to human signal. Whether or not it becomes widely prevalent, I'm not sure, but the idea is, the sentiment is there. And then I just saw this recently, which I find very interesting, and I checked into it, but people are actually trying to find various ways to get around facial recognition. So they're doing anti-facial recognition makeup. And for me, this is such a strong signal. Like I will not go quietly into this uncertain future. I'm not going to, give it all over to the machines, if you will. And seriously, I really hope this catches on because I think it looks so cool, and I would love to walk around having this kind of look be socially acceptable. And also too, I was like, if a makeup company doesn't jump on this marketing opportunity stat, like, can you imagine Mac or someone doing these really cool designs for anti-facial recognition makeup and putting them out there in a marketing campaign? I think it would be really, really, really cool. So I think we've tossed around, we see this all the time now that we've talked about it, like even down to visible mending on clothing, people who have a sweater with a hole and they, use a different color to patch the hole. That is saying like a human has fixed this, has put time and effort into it. So you guys should start looking all around for these human signals. I really think that you're going to start seeing them everywhere that you go. And what can we do with this? I think the most important thing is to mirror proof of life. Oh, sorry, I just hopped off my thing. Mirror proof of life, and to these consumers, and let consumers feel the humanity behind your endeavor. So if you're putting out a piece of communication, make it feel human, have a human insight behind it. Just let them feel the energy that you have for your business, let it shine through to them, because then they will feel like, oh, someone made this and they cared about it. And then also too, we've been talking a lot about how AI is a wonderful tool, but maybe it should be limited when it comes to building relationships. And because this is a very part of building businesses, it's important that there's still a human behind that relationship building. And then last but not least, leaning into content and concepts and products that are driven by human insight. AI is wonderful. It is a wonderful tool, but if it's not used properly and driven by a human being and an actual creative thought, then it becomes very empty and you can sense that there is nothing particularly human behind it. So just making sure that human insight is driving all of your major decisions is a great way to go. Okay. So that is the wrap up of the trend section. And I was thinking of the best way to wrap this up. And I kind of put 3 thoughts down. And maybe they're a great segue into any kind of conversation that we might have around this. But it seems that at this very minute, humanity is fighting this intense internal trust battle when it comes to AI, based on what we're hearing. And overall, consumers seem to be grabbing on tight to what's making them human and not letting go. Like people are fighting for their humanity. And I think as brands and companies, this gives us a huge opportunity to mirror or signal back to our consumers that even though in the face of AI advances, human insight, emotion, and ingenuity are still running the show at your business. So, just sharing empathetically in their concerns and also giving them things that feel human is going to go a long way in the upcoming year when it comes to consumer loyalty. And that is what I have for you guys. And I would love to hear any thoughts that you have in regards to this whole outlook on things.
Natalie, I have questions for you. Of course, this is like right up my alley, but I want to I'm just checking the chat to make sure I didn't miss any questions. I want to open it up to the group. I know Francis always has really good questions. Francis has a question. I'll let him go first. If you are on this call and you have questions, we'd love to hear them. There's no bad question. Please raise your hand and we'd love to hear from you. Francis, you got the mic, my friend.
Thank you, Meg. And Natalie, very, very rich information, rich presentation. I loved your insights, particularly the whole theme of making it human. I have a question with regards to the surveys that you looked at. I got a sense that they may have been more Western developed, country type feedback. And I'm curious about, your thoughts about, in less developed countries. I focus on a lot of Asian countries, and I know Basil is, very familiar with the African cultures. And what you sense from that? I'll give you an example. In China, there's this whole modernization, everything, high tech, and they're striving to kind of outcompete, let's say, the United States. But there's that, 5,000-year rich culture history, and I'm curious to what's the the balancing act that you might see in China.
Yeah. This is really, I have to admit it, out of my league. We really focus on the US market, and all of the studies, you're right, they came from Chain Store Age and Pew Research, and they're focused mainly on the US. So I really can't say in terms of the studies, but I want to believe that humans are humans no matter where they are, and their concern for the future is always something that is true, right? Like we're always concerned about what the future will hold, even if it's AI or like World War II or whatever era you lived in. So I would have to imagine that there will be a battle at any point for adoption of new things, particularly technology, in any kind of society where they're afraid of losing their humanity or their essence. It's obviously going to fluctuate on these extreme levels depending on where you are, but that's my take on it. Like I have to feel like we're all kind of don't want to lose the essence of what is us. And when it comes time where that threatens to be taken away, that people are going to kind of fight a little harder.
Just one follow-up question. That's great. I understand what you're saying. How about the clinging on to a culture? Westernization is happening throughout, has been happening throughout the world, but kind of the retroactive activism to recapture their culture. Do you think that
Yeah.
might play?
I mean, I think it could potentially happen. I mean, obviously, the United States is a melting pot, so it's really hard to reclaim a culture that is so varied, widely varied. I'm trying to think in terms of Sweden, and I think about the Swedish language. It's not as old as Chinese, of course, but it is a very old, ancient language. And up until like the last 20 years, it has remained very much the same and untouched by Western or American culture. But now you hear like kids adopting tons of English phrases and kind of changing the way the language works overall. But some of the younger kids, the kids in my set, like my kids set, like 6 to 9 year olds, have started using like the old word to say hello. So, and that's strange. That is weird. Why is this, super young generation choosing to like glom onto this one word that hasn't been used for 20, 25 years? So I think it may happen. It could happen in tiny little human signaling ways that people try to like save little bits and pieces of culture and use it in that way to show like we haven't forgotten. We're bringing this with us. We're not going to let it go.
That's a good question, Francis. Any other questions from the group right now before I ask Natalie some of my questions? Also, this is a great invitation too. If you'd like to share your LinkedIn information, pop it in the chat so that we can connect with each other. Natalie, I am so encouraged as a child of the 90s who loved Barnes and Noble.
Yes.
I'm so encouraged that stores, that they're increasing stores, that 90s life might be coming back. I'm curious what you think or what the research shows about an organization and how different generations within an organization are responding when it does come to marketing and somebody from one generation wants full-on digital strategy. There's no point in print. And then you've got somebody else that's like desperately holding on to print. Like, what's your advice on how to navigate the conversations between the generations when it comes to some of this?
That's a great question. It's funny. I have a coworker who works really closely with me on all these trends and insights, and he's quite a bit younger than me. And he's actually the one who's pushing for print and catalog. And I'm like, I'm the one, who's been in it for 20 years. Like, really? I don't know if that's like cost effective. And all of that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
I do agree that when you get into an organization, like the comfort level with the adoption of AI, what you choose to do, all of those things is different for everyone. Not only generations, but individuals, like, and how comfortable they are using AI in their work, for instance.
Yeah.
a very interesting thing that we've done in our agency, because we really wanted to explore how we all felt about incorporating AI into our workload and our individual workloads, is that we had a very open conversation about how people used it. And then we outlined a document as an agency, what we felt was an acceptable, like together, what we felt was an acceptable way to use AI. And we all adhere to those. It's almost like like a process and promise kind of document that this is the way that we're going to operate. So I think that it's really important to align and be very open and candid about the way that you're using AI in your workload, and then also get together and describe like what leadership will tolerate, what the younger folks may want to do, and find a common ground, because this is not going away. We have to find ways to work together.
Yeah.
But having a set of guidelines has seemed to help.
Yeah. Have you shared those guidelines with clients as well? So that it's like, here's our commitment to it. Because I know obviously, for those of you who don't know, we do a lot of content and communications and creative, and we've had to take a stand of what is our AI policy, what isn't. And, we've had clients ask like, what do you use it for? What don't you? So I just wasn't sure if you've found success in sharing that with clients.
We've had a similar conversation, that sharing these trends with clients, and we've opened up the floor to them for them to share how they're using AI and their level of trust in their agencies and their organizations. And we've seeded the ideas, the basic principles on which we use AI in those conversations. And we will probably end up, kind of formalizing and posting for outward, everyone to see what they are, so that the clients can be nice and clear on how we use AI in their work.
Yeah.
But we haven't sent out an email yet, no.
Yeah. So I'm thinking about two in particular, who will remain unnamed. But I have two clients who are very like, we've got to give it, like, AI is coming. We have to, like, this is it. This is the future. Like, everything has to be AI. Like, you're slow if you're not using AI. I'm curious, like, what are your questions when you do have a client or, a partner or vendor who comes and it's like so vehemently in the camp of AI? Like, how do you navigate that conversation so that they can't, because you have some great insights here that, like, I want everyone to know. And I'm curious, like, what you do when you talk to the people that are like, AI.
It's so funny. In commercial real estate, we have not come across anyone quite yet who is just like gangbusters AI. Clearly, everyone is dipping their toe in the water. They want to know how it's used. They're using it in their daily work and stuff like that. If someone were to come to us and say that, I think that I would give them the whole spiel about making sure that there's a human insight behind whatever they choose to do. Because I agree, AI is really cool. Sometimes it does things and I am amazed. I am like truly amazed. And it is hard to be amazed when you get to be at a certain point in your career. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, I have to realize that it's just reading a huge collection of information and piecing things together and regurgitating it. And then if I make something from that and put it back into the system, soon we're just going to have copies of copies of copies of copies if there's no original thought going in. So I think that is what I would say to them, is that it's awesome. The power is terrifying, but we can't lose sight of our humanity, and people will feel if your energy is not behind it. People are intuitive, very intuitive. They know if humans make stuff or they don't.
Yeah, that is very true. You can just sense. You use the word essence, which I wish humans used that word more often. But like you can sense things. Like you do have an essence of like, this feels like a human made it, or this feels like the computer made it. Like you do kind of get a vibe to that.
I have, this is way hippy dippy. I think I've probably lived in the countryside too long and also in San Francisco too long, but there's a concept of energy transference. So if you put energy into something, let's say you create something, that people receive that energy on the other side through a product or through
Yeah.
a piece of content or whatever it may be. So it is this transference of your passion and energy to that other person. And they can tell when it's not there. They can.
Yeah. Yeah. You can as the receiver of that. And then the giver of it too. Like, like your energy as the giver of that product or service is different as well.
Yeah.
I think it's Basil. Basil, you have a question, my friend.
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can hear
Yes.
you.
Okay, great. My name is Basil. I'm with the BL Networking Institute. Of course, we are in a people skills business, so we constantly deal with that all the time. But for us, one of the fundamental principles we have been using from the very beginning is a quote from a highly successful business person, and he said, "The most dominating companies in the future will be the one with high tech and high personal touch."
Mm.
The most dominating companies in the future will be the one with high tech and high personal touch. When we coach people coming to us, they insist on AI. We say not a problem, but think of it as a tool.
Yeah.
A tool that you control, a tool that you direct, as opposed to it's just running you.
Yeah.
You run it, evaluate it, and use it. When they get that, they start shifting their thinking, and they seems to be doing much better. To say nothing about the ethics side, as well the moral side of AI. So that's what we're trying to work with. That's the direction we go with people. I just want to throw that out as a comment.
I love that. And the soft touch skills or the human interaction skills that you're talking about, I really worry about losing the most, right? I saw this crazy piece of social content where it was supposed to be funny. It was actually scary to me. A guy walks into a convenience store and he asks ChatGPT what he should say to the clerk. And then the clerk asks ChatGPT what he should say back. And it's this halted, awful conversation between the two because they've totally forgotten how to interact as human beings. And it's a parody, of course, but haven't you felt yourself going to ChatGPT to ask kind of a basic question? I have. And then I was like, wait, what? No, I can figure that out on my own. Like, if we get into that, if we fall into not be needing ChatGPT to like speak to a clerk or parent our kids, we're going to be in big trouble. And definitely if we let it run our business.
Yeah, I noticed I did an experiment where I just tried using it for writing projects. And obviously, like, I'm a writer by trade and training, and I just started using it just to see, and I noticed how sloppy my brain would get in other situations where it's like I wasn't, like, we're made to think critically, and when you kind of get on a little bit of a treadmill with AI, you're like, just kind of like enter the stuff in and go. And I was like, I don't like the way my brain is responding to this. Like, I don't like how easily I took myself off the hook and my brain off the hook because of this platform. So it's just really interesting. I can imagine if you just get hooked in and you're using it all the time, simple interactions, you're like, I don't even remember how to have a simple interaction without the engine.
Yeah, that's so true. It's almost like we have to work our brain out like we work our bodies out to keep it healthy.
You do. You absolutely do. And I think this is a season in culture right now that, yes, we absolutely need that more than anything. Any final questions? I'm curious. I'll share an example from our company, but I'm just curious, kind of human touches that you use in your own businesses. One thing that was coming to mind, I'm looking at it right here on my desk, is our client gifts this year. We decided to print out calendars. Like we did like a page a week calendar for clients. Very simple. It could have been an email. It could have been a weekly email that we send, but we decided to go to the effort to be like, let's print these out, let's spiral bind them, let's commit to it so that people get off their phones, off the computers, and they get this daily reminder that doesn't need anything digital. It's just something to think about. And you made me think, Natalie, I did it. We did it because I love a desk calendar. I still love that. But you now, having seen your presentation, I'm like, I'm really glad we did that, because I feel like that will get people off their phones and off the computer and thinking for themselves.
Yeah, that's awesome. I do love a desk calendar.
I love a good desk calendar. Does anybody else have anything just really quickly that you're like, this is our stand for how we practice humanity?
I think that to win today, for example, we created a course for people in transition. Now, when they send their resumes, everybody write it based on AI, of course. The person receiving is sitting with thousands and thousands of AI, they can't tell. We really think, because of the business we are in, you have to put the human first. You got to put the human touch first.
Yeah.
We teach people finding a job. What we do is we get them to write the resume, find the ideal company, and look for somebody to call the company so they can put the resume on top. You get what I'm saying? And then we train the people on how to talk to the HR or whatever and what have you. So we're having a tremendous amount of success, surprise us by itself, but we're using the human touch because everybody's AI, and then how can you tell? You can't tell who's who. So the differentiator for us is using the human touch.
You know, Basil, I'd like to dovetail on Basil's comment there. In what I've heard in the recruiting world, you know, there's people applying, they auto apply, and recruiters are getting thousands and thousands of these things, right? So I've heard first of all, you've got a target, you know, network and target, but you send a handwritten letter with a paper resume to reach the person. So it kind of bypasses, you know, the thousands of other, you know, email sent or system sent applications.
That's brilliant.
Yes.
I hope I'm saying this right. Farana?
Yes, that is correct. Yes, I have unmuted.
Yes,
Yes, it
I
is.
saw you come
It
off
is
the mic.
Farana.
Do you have a question or a comment?
Yes, I do. I just wanted to say thank you to Natalie and for the wonderful presentation. I'm from South Africa, Durban, the city. It's been really informative. And one of the ways that I practice keeping human skills in my organizations are to ensure that all employees that are hired in the company have to be able to write their own emails or letters without actually using AI. That's the best way that I've found people are real, authentic to their work. So thank you so much for the
Yeah, how do you enforce that?
It is difficult, but like you said earlier, and I really do, I connected with that. You just know, and I just know. Really, I just, it's actually quite infuriating when you're reading a letter or an email and it comes through, and you know, sometimes we might get a marketing plan or a business plan that comes through to the office, and I'll be like, this is AI. You just know it's not from, So, I mean, there are ways to check, but by reading it alone, it's just sort of, and then there are other tools to ensure that you can humanize AI work. So, you know, it really is quite difficult to really know without firstly having a good insight of your work, having a good command of the English language or whatever the language is that you're communicating in. And then, of course, having the emotional connection to the work that you're doing, I think is vital to the process of understanding whether AI was used or not.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. That's very interesting. We just had to give we call them 360 reviews, but they're like, you get peer reviewed by people in the agency. And we just reminded each other before we did them how valuable and important it was to receive feedback from your peers written by your peers in their own voice. So to please not use AI in writing the peer reviews. And I think that's really important to have an open culture like that so that you can share that sort of stuff and the way it makes people feel and why it's important emotionally for people's growth. And if you can foster that within your company, I think that that's really important too.
Can I just add this, just add it to the question of how do you know? I think you know when you hear the difference between the way a person speaks and the way that they write. There is a connection between those two. So it's it's quite easy to tell then when you're communicating with someone whether there's been there can be some AI. I don't disagree that AI has a place. And I use it myself to refine content because sometimes when you're rambling on, you tend to duplicate points and things. So I use AI to sort of like, to get stuff structured well and, just coherently. But you definitely do know that way to add that.
That's true. They don't line up.
For us, it's sometimes the AI will give you words, will kick out words, and it's like, is a human gonna use that word? Sometimes it gives you way too many uses of like the word synergy. And it's like, I can't remember last time I was in a real human lunch conversation where somebody talked about synergy. There are just certain word King's Easter eggs that you're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Natalie, this was wonderful. Any final thoughts? Any graduation speech final sentences you'd say to the group?
Over to you, Natalie. She's talking to you.
Oh, to me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm like, what, guys, lay it on me. You guys are full of insights.
Yeah, I mean, it's open to any, but I mean, if anyone has any final thoughts, but Natalie, any just final thoughts?
My final thought is I appreciate so much having all of the different perspective, obviously, on this call, and you guys openly sharing the way that you're viewing this. I think this is the way that we're going to move forward as a species in the light of this future that we're facing. I don't want to make it sound sci-fi or like dire or anything like that, but I always hope that we can get onto calls like this and talk with each other and share and be open and empathetic, because I think that is what is going to keep us human in the future. And thank you so much for all of your time and talking about this with me, because it's something I'm really passionate about. So
yeah, this was wonderful. Thank you. Thanks for reminding us to just keep it human. We had a similar conversation last month, different context, but it ended in the same way, which was like, let's just keep it human and keep talking to people and talking to each other. So we can never have too many reminders of that. So I just want to say thank you again to Natalie for the presentation and the energy and the attention today. I super appreciate you, especially late night for you on a Friday. So thanks for hanging out. Please feel free to connect with me. I'm sure Natalie would love the connections as well on LinkedIn. We have one final marketing webinar roundtable for the year. I can't believe we're coming down to the end of the year. Next month, Friday, November 14th. That'll be the last one for the year. So everyone here, please, we'd love to see you again. But Natalie, thank you. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you, Meg and Doug, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Very nice to meet you.
Awesome. Great to see you. Doug, any final thoughts before we sign off?
We had a meeting the other day where someone was advocating that the end of B2B and B2C marketing and all of it being replaced by B2P, business to people. And, I think today's conversation reminded me of how important people are in the mix. Basil's comment about the high personal touch, whether you're in business and attracting business people, traditionally B2B or B2C, trust is important. The high personal touch is important, and the utilization of technology that Natalie advocated and the mindful way that she advocates for it is enlightening and inspiring. Thank you both for bringing this to our attention and gives us a lot to think about as we head into the weekend.
Absolutely. Thanks for creating this place for us to have this conversation, Doug.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. You guys are awesome. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, have a great weekend. We'll see you next month.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, y'all.
Okay.
Thank you, Natalie. Good night. Thank you, Farana.
Thank you. Bye, Doug.